much, Cheryl. So welcome, everyone. There's a couple questions in the chat about different, what exercises I would recommend for certain conditions. I can assure you guys that in today's program, we have 30 minutes. We're going to do a lot, but we're going to cover exercises that should benefit a lot of types of neck and shoulder pain. I will save a little bit of time at the end to answer any further questions that come up. The one thing I'd like to say before we get started with our movement is to just make sure that you listen to your body and take any modifications that you feel you need. Everyone's dealing with something a little bit different, so I'll offer a number of options. Work what feels good for your body today, and you'll get the most out of this workout. So with that being said, we're going to get started seated on the mat. One other little thing I'll say is that today we're going to do some work in standing. If you've taken this class before, you know we spend a lot of time on the mat. We'll be on the mat a little bit today, but I want to get everybody up and standing to work on some strength work. So let's go ahead and head back to the mat. We're going to grab a comfortable seat. You can rest your props in front of you to get started. And just find a comfortable seated resting position where you feel the heaviness of your hips down into the mat and you feel the stack of your shoulders right on top of your hips. So if you were to look from the side, I am sitting with my shoulders right on top of my hips. And I think a lot of times that feels almost like you're leaning backwards. We tend to tip our body weight forward over the course of the day. So find that tall stack, feel the grounding of your body. If you'd like to close your eyes here, you can certainly do so. Keeping tall through the top of the head, we're gonna start to focus on our breathing. Taking your inhale breaths in through the nose to open up and expand your rib cage in all directions. And with an exhale breath, close, letting that air all go, even letting go of some of that stale air hanging at the bottom of your lungs. Take that inhale breath in through your nose and open up your ribs and feel that opening in all directions. Let your belly go, let it loosen a little bit. With your exhale breath, feel that whole trunk cavity start to narrow. Notice if your breath is up high in your neck and shoulders. One of the easiest ways to let go of tension in the neck and shoulders is to start with that belly breathing. So a lot of these muscles here help our breathing in times of exertion, but they do not need to work all day. So we can let go of some of that persistent tightness in our neck by just sending our breath down low into our belly. Again, if you're having trouble visualizing or feeling that, bring your hand right to your belly or right to your ribs so you can feel the inflation of your lungs underneath your hands and exhale to let that breath go. We'll try 2 more breaths in here, just like this, and then gently let it go. And once more here, big inhale, open up, expand, and exhale to let it go. Now we're going to start with some gentle shoulder circles to warm up. And if you've taken this class before, you've done this with me, I'm going to show one option for progression, but we'll all start here with gentle shoulder circles. So making these as big and as exaggerated as possible while still staying up seated, nice and tall. Now, for those of you who might be ready for a progression with these shoulder circles, I'll show from the side, we're going to take the hands about 6 to 8 inches behind your bottom, just a little bit wider than the shoulders, and do those same shoulder circles with straight elbows pushing into the floor. So this is just going to give you a little bit more assistance and a little bit more pressure to push into a bigger range of motion. You might feel crunching, clicking, and popping here, and that's okay as long as that is not painful. We'll reverse those circles. If this doesn't feel good for your body today, simply come back to those regular shoulder rolls just in sitting. Especially if that starts to get tired or sore on your wrist, you can always come back up and take a little rest or come back to that same motion. 2 more times just like this. Good. And once more there. Good. And then we're going to shake it out, take a little rest. We'll grab our towel. We're going to do another quick little neck stretch before we take this down onto the mat using our towel. So I'll turn to the side so you guys can see. The towel is going to go right up against the bony part of the back of your skull. So if you kind of drape it around your neck, or if you have a long t-shirt, same thing. You're going to hold the 2 ends of the towel and sit tall. Once again, sit with the shoulders right over your hips. Bring your elbows narrow, hook that towel right up against the bony part of the back of your skull, and you're gonna pull up towards where the ceiling and the wall meet one another. So I'm hooking, elbows narrow, and I'm gently pulling. It should feel like a little lift, or maybe taking the pressure of your head off of your skull, or off of your neck rather. And then you can gently relax, let that go. It can be quite a bit of work for your arms. Try that once again. Hook that towel up, bring your elbows in, and pull straight up and out like you're trying to touch the wall and the ceiling where they meet. Stay in that tall seated position. Let your breath be comfortable and natural, and let it relax. This is also a stretch that you can do lying down on your back, but I like to show it in sitting as well, because this is an option that might be more accessible to you in the middle of your workday if you're starting to feel like your neck is getting sore and tired. We'll take one more big breath in here, and then gently let it go. Good. You can take that towel out, we'll unravel it, and we're gonna form a little towel roll. So I'm gonna fold mine in half and then roll it on up to make a small towel roll here. Now we're gonna use the towel roll to help us stretch out our upper back, and our upper back really is the key to managing both shoulder and neck pain. So we're gonna start with the towel roll perpendicular to the mat. So it should be, parallel to the mat. We're gonna lie lengthwise. I'll actually show you guys for a moment. That roller is gonna go along our spine right between our shoulder blades. I'd like you to also take your two weights and place them on either side of your mat so that they're accessible when you need them. We're not going to start with them right away. So we'll go ahead and lie down so that that towel roll is right between our shoulder blades, and you can kind of finagle that underneath your spine. And then let your head rest down. I recommend having your knees bent here, and that's to protect your lower back. If you really would like, you can straighten your legs here. That's up to you. Think about the space right behind your rib cage. I want you to draw and close that space down as though you are pressing the rib cage into the floor. At the same time, can you add a little tuck to your chin, imagining like that towel roll is still against the back of your neck, this time pulling your head long towards the end of your mat. So you're lengthening the back of your neck. From here, without the weights, just open up your arms out to the side and take a moment. This can feel fairly intense if this is your first time doing this. If you've been doing this for a couple of weeks, let your body settle in, maybe walking your hands up a little bit higher. So what you should feel is a very gentle stretch across your chest. It shouldn't feel like sharp pain or pulling. If you're getting any numbness or tingling in your fingers, simply bend your elbows, adding that tuck to your chin to lengthen the back of your neck. Keep drawing the rib cage down towards the floor. Good. And just letting your body melt and relax in this position. Taking the deep inhale breaths in, and see if you can still breathe into your belly, even in this position. And with your exhale breath, feel the ribs glide down closer to the back of the mat. We'll try 2 more times just like this. Good. And one more big deep breath in here. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab our weights. This is optional. If the weights feel like too much, you can put them down at any moment and come back to just using your own body weight. But we'll start reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling, palms facing one another, holding a weight in each of your hands. From here, you feel how, because the placement of the towel roll lifts our chest a little bit, we have some room behind our shoulders. So I want you to keep your elbows straight, but punch your shoulders towards the ceiling, and then pull your shoulder blades down as though they're pinching the towel roll behind you. Punch through the fingertips, reach up, and then pull the shoulder blades back down. So this is called a scapular punch or a scapular glide. And what we're working is this tiny little muscle called the serratus, which helps us to keep our shoulder blade flush onto our back. So instead of letting the shoulder blade wing off of the back of our spine, it lies flush onto our back because of the strength of this little muscle here. And that's important to give our shoulders stability when we do bigger arm movements. It also helps to have that little towel behind you to feel the movement of the shoulder blades on the back. Now, you guys can probably imagine that if your upper back was really tight and maybe even a little bit rounded, like you're bent forward, it's very difficult to get the shoulder blades onto your back. And so that's part of the reason here we work on that upper back mobility, pulling the shoulder blades down, pushing back up. 2 more. Good. On this last time, pull the shoulder blades down and hold it. From here, without moving the shoulder blades, let your arms open wide out to the side, pull them back in and together. This is nothing fancy, but I want you guys to move slowly as you open up your arms out to the side, so kind of like a chest fly. As you slowly lower the arms down, the muscles across the front of the chest are working, but they're getting longer. It's called eccentric work. This is what allows our muscle to actually deform and change its length in a more permanent way. So work within the range of motion that's comfortable for your body, but know that this should help to give you better range of motion, reaching the arm out to the side, back behind you, and to hold better posture, so to keep your shoulders back as you sit up nice and tall. Good. Notice if your chin has started to lift to the ceiling. Add a gentle chuck to your chin, lengthening through the top of the head. We'll try 3 more. Good, guys. 2 more, just like this. And 1 more time here. Hold open for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently bend, and you can place those weights down. This time, roll to the side so you can come off your towel roll. We'll sit up just for a moment. We're going to turn that roll now perpendicular to your spine. So if you were looking from the back, that's going to go across the spine, across the shoulder blade. So same part of the spine, just in a different orientation. So I'll lay the towel roll down. We're going to set up our body the same way. So knees bent, towel roll under the shoulder blades, this time holding the back of our skull in our hands. Okay, make sure you're not holding your neck, you're actually holding your skull, so the back of your head. Bring your elbows nice and narrow, and once again, just let your body adjust to this position. So drawing the rib cage down, pressing the back of the ribs into the mat, keeping the elbows narrow, and just let yourself breathe. Focus once again on sending that breath down into the belly. This can feel somewhat stressful, especially if your upper back is a little bit tight. So notice if that has brought your breath up into your neck again. Try and send that breath down into your belly, keeping the elbows narrow. We have the optional add-on to start to open and close your elbows out to the side. Work within what's comfortable for your body. If this is painful, just hold it in the center, or work in a smaller range of motion as you drop your arms out to the side. This looks at external rotation mobility of your shoulder. External rotation, to give you guys a real-time picture, is what you need to pitch a baseball. So to bring your arm kind of rotating open and back behind you. Good. We'll try 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more time, you can pause with the arms open. Try taking another big, deep breath in here. And then exhale, gently let it go. We're going to roll to the side. Remove that towel roll, but keep it rolled up and lie down onto your back once again. We're going to try 1 more little neck mobilization here before we get up and standing. So take that towel roll once again underneath the bony ridge of the back of your skull. So right where your neck and your skull meet. There's a bunch of tiny little bones there. You can kind of nestle that roll up into that point in the same way that we did that pull when we were sitting before. These little muscles here are called the suboccipitals. They are what tells our head where it is in space. So that's how we know sort of where our head is oriented. They also can get quite tight and give us a headache. So if you've ever had a headache that originates from your neck, it may be connected to these little suboccipital muscles. So we're just going to lie here doing a very gentle release, letting the pressure of our head on the towel help to release those muscles. If you feel like one side is much tighter than the other, you're just going to gently tip your head side to side. So not a big range of rotation, just like you're kind of barely looking from side to side, looking to the right and then to the left, nice and gentle, nice and easy, not as far as you can go, like you're just kind of barely glancing over your side. And this should be comfortable. It should just feel gentle, maybe like a little massage along the back of those muscles. Good. We'll try 3 more just like this. And 2 more. And 1 more time here. Good. Just pause, let your body melt and relax for another moment, taking 1 more deep belly breath in through the nose and a deep belly breath out through the mouth. From here, we'll go ahead and roll to the side and come on up to a seated position. Okay, so if you guys took my class last week, you know that we focused quite a bit on strengthening of the shoulder joint. And I had some questions about strengthening the neck. Our next job is to hold our head up. You don't need weights to practice that. You just need to practice good posture. So we're going to use the weights in our shoulders and practice using good posture with our neck. Last week, though, we did this in sitting, and I thought about it and I said, you know, we're all doing so much sitting. Let's get up, let's stand, let's talk about standing posture, and let's try and do some of that strength building in our shoulders in the standing position. So if standing is not available to you, you can certainly follow along in sitting, but I'd like if you guys can come to a standing position, and I'm going to adjust the camera so that you have a better view here. Let me just make sure. Okay, all right. So step 1 is to find a position where your feet really feel grounded underneath you. So to be able to feel stable and strong in your shoulders, you want a solid base of support. Your feet should be parallel and under your hips. And just a little FYI, your hips are not the widest part of your legs. It's actually your femur bone comes up into the hip joint right in the center of your thigh. So it's a little bit more narrow than the widest part of your legs. Once you're in that position from the side, you want your knees on top of your ankles, your hips on top of your knees, shoulders on top of your hips, and ears in line with your shoulders. So think about growing tall through the top of the head. You can rock all your body weight forward into your toes, all your body weight back into your heels, and then settle somewhere right in the middle. So you really feel solid on your feet. From here, we're going to take 1 weight in each of our hands, roll the shoulders down and back, and start to do a gentle bicep curl. Okay, this is nothing fancy, it's lightweight, but I want you to notice if the rest of your body is kind of rocking as you do your bicep curl here. See if you can keep the weight in your feet even as you curl your elbows, which means you might need to slow down your movement a little bit. And notice how my elbows are not rocking front to back as I pull. My elbow is exactly still in space. At the same time, from the front, I'm focusing on not letting my shoulders hike by my ears or letting my shoulders round forward. So you guys have probably seen this posture before at the gym. See if you can stand tall, keep the space across your collarbones open as though you are having a big smile across the front of your chest. Good, and you might find that these super light weights are maybe a little bit more challenging than you expected. We talked about this last week too, how some of those tiny muscles that support and stabilize our shoulder are tiny. If you use heavy weights, they are not going to work. Some of the bigger muscles are going to take over. Let's bring the thumb up to the ceiling and continue. So just a slightly different angle. This is more of a hammer curl. Again, reset the shoulders if you need to. If you feel your neck taking over, notice if maybe your head is moving forward. I'm exaggerating tremendously. One thing that I find that helps is to look at something off in the distance that's not moving. If we can fix our eyes on something, our head is a lot less likely to move. We'll do 2 more just like this. 1 more time there and release the arms down. Good, shake it out. Okay, so we're going to take this now into some overhead movements. So we talked about in those low bicep type motions that I didn't want your shoulder hiking by your ear. When we reach overhead, it is normal for our shoulder to elevate up towards our ear, but it shouldn't stay that way. And that elevation happens above 90 degrees of lifting our shoulder. So from lifting to this point, our shoulder blade is down. As we go above that point, the shoulder blade can start to lift. So if you guys have your camera and you want to watch and follow along, you can watch for your own view, but I'll give you guys a couple of tips on how to make that happen. So bring your elbows in by your side, palms facing forward. Feel the grounding of your feet down into the floor. Lift the top of your head up tall and start to reach overhead, and then pull your elbows back down by your side. So reach like you're punching something overhead. Imagine grabbing a rope and you're pulling that rope back down by your side. We push overhead and we pull back down. Now, very common with this one, as we push overhead, if your shoulders or your upper back is tight, we're going to compensate by pushing our head forward. If you really feel like you cannot reach all the way up high without your neck going forward, then work in the range of motion that is comfortable to keep just your shoulders moving. So maybe that looks more like this. And as you work up, as you build strength, as you improve your shoulder mobility, you can start to increase and go up a little bit higher. We reach, pull the elbows down, push the elbows up, pull the elbows back down. 3 more. Feel free to drop your weights if this feels like too much. 2. Good, guys. Once more here, and pull down and take a little rest. You can roll out the shoulders, letting your arms hang. This is always a nice little trick for me, is just if you're feeling like, oh, I don't really know how to drop my shoulders down, hold some weights in your hands. Let your arms hang down by your side and just stand up tall. That sinking and heaviness of your arms should give you a sense of where you want your shoulders to go. So we're going to now, we've worked a little bit through the front side of our shoulder, work into the muscles in the back of our shoulder that help to pull our shoulder blades back. And we're going to do so with a slight tip forward of our chest. So holding those weights, this time we're going to put a soft bend at the hips to tip our chest forward. Notice that my whole spine did not round forward. I kept the same shape of my spine, simply bending my hips backwards and starting to softly bend my knees. So again, if you have not tried this before, you're keeping your spine really tall, tipping the hips back, knees bend just a tiny bit. Now we have that same flat line. So my shoulders, hips, ear are all still in one long line. That means I'm looking at the top of my mat. I know you guys can't see that here. My gaze is down long off in the distance to the floor. From here, I'm going to take the weights with my palms facing up to the ceiling and simply straighten my elbows. Gravity is pushing my shoulders forward. Work to see if you can just lift the shoulder blades onto your back. Can you keep your neck long, straighten your elbows, and just hold this position? Reach those weights a little bit farther. Feel the grounding down of your feet. This should already feel like some work for your upper back. Once you feel those little muscles in the back of your shoulder turn on, start to lift up 1 inch, down 1 inch, up 1 inch, down 1 inch. Teeny tiny, nothing big, nothing fancy, just a little lift up and down, lift up and down. We have 4 more and 3. Good, guys. Last 2. Last time, hold it up. Now see if you can open out to the side, pull back in. So from the side, it looks like an opening and pull. Open and pull. It's small. Think like a wide V shape and pull back into the center. Go for 3. Good. 2. 1 more time, pull in, come all the way back up to standing. And once again, let those arms hang down by your side. Nice work. So I hope that gives you guys a quick little overview of a couple common strength exercises you might see. And it's nice to get up and stand. It just gives you a different posture. It may give you a different awareness of your body in these exercises. We're going to do a little standing stretch to open up our shoulders. If you would like to hold your weights, you can to do this stretch. You can also drop them if you feel like your arms are getting tired. So we're going to stand with the feet grounded, reaching the left hand out to the side. My palm is facing forward, and I'm going to rotate to tap my right hand towards my left, open up to the ceiling, following my right hand with my eyes. Rotate to tap down and open up to follow. So again, this is just meant to be a gentle rotation stretch for our upper back. My feet are grounded, they are not moving. I'm actually working a little bit to try and not move my hips tremendously here. So I'm moving from my rib cage as though my ribs are independently spiraling around my body. And if this is feeling challenging here, drop the weight. Let this just be a natural stretch. 2 more. Good, guys. Once more, follow that hand with your eyes, open it up. Good, drop both hands down. I'll drop my weights here to demo that same exercise on the other side without any weight. So right hand reaches, I'm gonna turn to look like I'm giving myself a high five, and then rotate to open, following that left hand with my eyes. Rotate, tap, left hand to right, and follow to open. Turn like I'm spiraling my whole rib cage down towards the floor, and then spiraling that rib cage up to the ceiling. Good. 3 more. And turn. Good, guys. 2 more here. Turn and open. 1 more time here. And turn and open. Good. Feel grounded. We're going to finish with 3 big rinse out breaths together. So once again, feel your feet into the floor. We'll take a big inhale, reach up, get tall through the top of your head, and then exhale to let it go. Another inhale breath, get up tall and reach, and exhale to let it go. Last time, big inhale. And exhale, gently release. Awesome work, guys. So that is our movement-based part of today's program. And I hope that you learned a little bit about form with strength training. That strength training really is important, and one of the best ways that you can maintain all of the flexibility work that we did in the beginning of class, working on your shoulder, upper back, and neck mobility. I know that there were already a number of questions in the chat. I'm going to take a minute to read those. And then I will answer any additional questions that you guys want to send over now. I do ask that if you have a moment to stick around to leave feedback for this program, I would really, really appreciate everything you guys have to say. And I thank you all for coming today. It was great to see so many of you at this time. So let me go ahead and read.
Allie, the questions start at time 117.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I know there's a lot in the chat. You guys are great for being so interactive. Okay, so a good first question here. What kind of pillow is good for a back sleeper? So there is a pillow that I recommend both for back and side sleepers on the fitness page on my fitness store. And it is a curved pillow. It kind of looks like one big mountain and then one little mountain or a little hill. So what I recommend is that with that type of pillow, if you're a side sleeper, you want the big mountain to go under your neck. You're kind of resting your head over the bigger mountain. If you're a back sleeper, you want the little hill underneath your neck. So you're gonna actually turn the pillow the other orientation so it faces the other way. If you guys get on there and take a peek, you will probably see what I mean a little bit more, but that nice orthopedic shape of the pillow, it is memory foam, so it's fairly firm, so it won't give as much as a really soft feather pillow. But that being said, you can be pretty sure that it's going to keep you in that more neutral neck position over the course of the night. So give that a try if you know that you're waking up fairly consistently with neck pain. Okay, so questions about how to get rid of a stiff neck. I would say certainly everything we worked on in class today, but just know that if you are persistently having a stiff neck, sometimes it can be signs of other more serious things going on with your venous and arterial structures. Check in with your doctor if that's something that's happening regularly for you. Or if that's a new symptom and it's very intense and there's nothing that seems to make it better. So definitely follow up with your doctor there. Where does the towel get placed when doing the shoulder blade squeeze? The towel was parallel with the mat. I'll show you once again. Oops, let me grab my towel here. It goes right along the length of the spine between the shoulder blades. And so you can see the shoulder blades will kind of hug the towel, moving away from the towel, hug the towel and move away. So hopefully that was the one that you were referring to there. Okay, Claire asked, I sleep on my back with my hands and arms over my head. Is this bad for my shoulders? No, unless you have some sort of shoulder problem, maybe a rotator cuff dysfunction or some sort of shoulder surgery where you are not supposed to go into overhead motions. But if you have very flexible shoulders, that's fine. We have that range of motion available to us. So I think if you're not symptomatic, I wouldn't worry about it at all. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for the kind feedback here. You're awesome. Let me see if there are any other questions.
At 129, Allie, there's a question about frozen shoulder.
Okay, let me see. I think I'm just getting to that. Okay, so frozen shoulder. So frozen shoulder is a significant restriction of shoulder mobility in all planes. Everything we worked on today is good. What I would say is frozen shoulder is something that comes in 3 different phases. Depending on what phase you're in the beginning phases, you want to work more on range of motion than strengthening. So your deficits are not strength, but range of motion. So some of the strength stuff we did today, while it's not harmful for your body, it may not be the thing that helps you the most. So some more shoulder stretches, which we've done in some of my other neck and shoulder pain classes. Today was a little bit more strength oriented. As the frozen shoulder heals and you start to get better mobility, bringing that strength worth in can be really helpful. So it depends on what phase you're in. But everything we did today really is safe. That just may be a little modification you might want to make. Awesome. We had the question about the recording. The recordings are live in the video hub, and today's class will be on tomorrow. What size weights was I using? I use 1 pound weights. I have the ones that I'm using here are actually not my favorite ones. My favorite ones I keep at my office, and they're little ball weights, so they're a little bit easier and softer to grip into the hand. Those are listed on the fitness store. What I'm using here are cuff weights, so I use them sometimes around my ankles, but today I'm using them around my hands. So those are 1 pound. You could use 2 pounds for this class. I don't think you need to. I think you can get a lot out of 1 pound weights. Okay, I'm going to answer just one more. Let me read through and see if there's a common question here, and then we'll go over the feedback app. There's a couple other questions to clarify the neck pillow, so I'll go over that one more time here. So the neck pillow, that is the contoured pillow with one big hump and one smaller hump, the big mountain and the little hill. If you're laying on your side, you want the big hump underneath your neck. You're kind of resting down so it supports your head. If you're laying on your back, you want the little hump underneath your neck. So certainly give that a try if you guys have one of those pillows, or you can check out the fitness store if you don't.